Dad's invitation. Adults only. Your presence would ruin the atmosphere. The venue was Mountain Peak Resort. At the reception, the director approached Dad. Sir, the owner needs to speak with you. He pointed at me. Dad's new wife whispered, Who is that? The next morning, the calls started. But I should start from the beginning. Because the moment my father uninvited me from his wedding wasn't where this story began. It started 6 years earlier when my mother died and I became the child who reminded him of everything he'd lost. My name is Olivia Chen. I'm 29 years old. And I've spent the last 6 years being erased from my father's life while building something he never knew existed. My mother died when I was 23. Brain aneurysm. Sudden. One moment she was laughing at dinner, the next she was on the floor. She was gone before the ambulance arrived. My father, Richard Chen, was destroyed. They'd been married for 28 years. High school sweethearts. Built a life together. He was a commercial real estate broker. He was a teacher. They lived modestly but comfortably in Bellevue, Washington. I was their only child. The center of their world. After Mom died, Dad changed. He couldn't look at me without seeing her. I had her eyes. Her smile. Her laugh. Every conversation with me was a reminder of what he'd lost. I need space, he told me 3 months after the funeral. Being around you, it's too hard. I understand. I'm going to travel. Maybe move. I don't know yet. But I need to figure out who I am without her. Okay. You'll be fine. You're smart. Capable. You have your whole life ahead of you. He sold the house in Bellevue. The house I grew up in. Gave me $40,000 from the sale. Your inheritance, he called it. Use it wisely. Then he left. He moved to Denver. Got a job at a different real estate firm. Started a new life. We talked maybe once every 3 months. Awkward phone calls where he asked surface-level questions and I gave surface-level answers. I was grieving my mother. And watching my father disappear. I took the $40,000 he gave me and I did something he never expected. I was working as a data analyst at a tech startup in Seattle. Making $68,000 a year. Living in a studio apartment. Trying to figure out my life. The startup was in a competitive space. Predictive analytics for retail. We had a good product. Smart team. But we needed capital. Our CEO Marcus Williams was brilliant but cash-strapped. He offered equity packages to early employees willing to invest their own money. If you put in $40,000, he told me, I'll give you 2% of the company, plus your salary and standard employee equity of another 1%. That's everything I have. I know. It's a risk. But I believe in what we're building. I thought about my mother. About how she always told me to bet on myself. I invested the $40,000. 18 months later we got acquired. Target bought us for $186 million. My 3% stake, $5.58 million. I was 25 years old. I didn't tell my father. We were barely speaking by then. He called on my birthday. Asked how work was going. Good, I said. Still at the same company. Technically true. I was still working there through the acquisition transition. That's nice, Olivia. Keep working hard. I will. He didn't ask about the details. Never did. I took my $5.58 million and I hired a financial advisor. Gregory Hartman at Pinnacle Wealth Management. What are your goals? He asked. I want to build something that lasts. Real estate. Properties that generate income and appreciate over time. Smart. Commercial or residential? Both. But I'm particularly interested in hospitality. Vacation properties. Resorts. That's capital intensive. I have capital. We started looking. In 2021, Gregory brought me an opportunity. Mountain Peak Resort. A boutique property in the Cascade Mountains, 2 hours from Seattle. 48 rooms. Conference center. Restaurant. Spa. Stunning views. The owners were retiring. Asking price, $12.8 million. It's been on the market for 8 months, Gregory said. They're motivated to sell. What's wrong with it? Nothing structurally. It's just expensive to maintain. And it's seasonal. Great in summer and winter. Slower in spring and fall. Revenue. $2.1 million annually. Operating expenses around $1.6 million. Net profit. $500,000 a year. That's a 3.9% return. Not great. True. But the property is underutilized. The conference center books maybe 40 events a year. The restaurant is only open for dinner. The spa operates limited hours. So there's upside potential. Significant upside if managed aggressively. I visited the property. Fell in love with it immediately. The main lodge was built in 1987. Stone and timber construction. Massive windows overlooking alpine meadows. Cozy but sophisticated. The rooms needed updating. The restaurant needed a new concept. The spa needed better marketing. But the bones were perfect. I'll offer $11.2 million, I told Gregory. All cash. Close in 45 days. They're asking $12.8 million. They've been asking for 8 months. They'll take $11.2 million to be done with it. They countered at $11.8 million. We settled at $11.5 million. On August 15, 2021, I became the owner of Mountain Peak Resort. I was 27 years old. I created an LLC. Summit Hospitality Holdings. I was the sole owner. The property management company I hired handled day-to-day operations. My name appeared nowhere in the public records except buried in corporate filings. I invested another $1.8 million in renovations. Updated rooms. Rebranded the restaurant. Expanded spa services. Hired a sales team to book the conference center aggressively. By 2022, annual revenue hit $3.2 million. Net profit, $1.1 million. By 2023, revenue reached $4.1 million. Net profit, $1.7 million. The resort became known as one of the premier mountain wedding venues in Washington state, which is how my father found it. In January 2024, Dad called me. First time in 6 months. Olivia, I have news. What's that? I'm getting married. I was silent. Her name is Vanessa. We met 2 years ago at a real estate conference. He's wonderful. I'm really happy. That's great, Dad. Congratulations. Thank you. I know it's been a while since your mother passed. 6 years. It had been 6 years. I'm glad you found someone. The wedding is in July. I'd like you to be there. Of course. Send me the details. There's one thing. Vanessa doesn't really know about you. I paused. What do you mean? I mean, I've mentioned I have a daughter. But I haven't talked much about you. About us. About the past. Why not? It's complicated. She knows your mother died. But she doesn't know how hard it was. How I left. How we're not close. So what does she think? She thinks we have a normal father-daughter relationship. That you're busy with work and that's why we don't see each other often. Dad. I know it's not fair to you. But I'm starting fresh, Olivia. This is my second chance at happiness. I don't want to bring all the pain and history into it. So where do I fit in? You're invited to the wedding. Of course. But maybe we keep things simple. You come. You smile. You're supportive. We don't need to get into the complicated stuff. I should have said no. Should have told him that erasing our history was insulting. That pretending we had a normal relationship when he'd barely spoken to me in 6 years was absurd. But I didn't. I just said, hey, send me the invitation. The invitation arrived in March 2024. Heavy cardstock. Elegant typography. Richard Chin and Vanessa Whitmore request the pleasure of your company at their wedding ceremony and reception. July 20, 2024. Mountain Peak Resort. Cascade Mountains, Washington. I stared at the venue name. My resort. He was getting married at my resort. And he had no idea. I called the resort director, Patricia Mills. Patricia, there's a wedding booked for July 20th. Chin Whitmore wedding. Yes, I have it right here. 120 guests. Full resort buyout. Ceremony in the Alpine Meadow. Reception in the Grand Hall. 2-day event. They've booked 40 rooms. How much is the package? $185,000. They paid the deposit in January. Final payment due June 20th. My father was spending $185,000 on a wedding at a resort I owned. Patricia, I need to attend this wedding. You know the clients? The groom is my father. Silence. Then, oh. Does he know you own? No. And I'd like to keep it that way for now. Understood. What do you need? I'll attend as a guest. Normal guest. But I want to be kept informed of all details. Any changes? Any requests? Everything. Of course. 2 weeks later, I received another envelope from my father. Not an invitation. A letter. Olivia, I need to talk to you about the wedding. Vanessa and I have been discussing the guest list and the atmosphere we want to create. This is a sophisticated event. Elegant. We're going for a specific tone. I don't think it's the right fit for you to attend. I know that sounds harsh. But you're young. You don't really know Vanessa. You don't know our friends. It would be awkward for everyone. Also, frankly, your presence would remind me of your mother. Of the past. This day is about my future. About the life I'm building with Vanessa. I hope you understand. This isn't personal. It's just about creating the right atmosphere for our celebration. I'll make it up to you. We can have dinner when I'm back in Seattle sometime. Just the two of us. I'm enclosing a check for $5,000. Consider it a gift. Buy yourself something nice. Love, Dad. I read the letter 3 times. My presence would ruin the atmosphere. Too young. Too awkward. Too much a reminder of the past. Uninvited from my own father's wedding. At my own resort. I looked at the check. $5,000. Like he was paying me to stay away. I didn't cash it. I called Patricia. The bride and groom just uninvited me from the wedding. What? My father sent a letter. Said my presence would ruin the atmosphere. Doesn't want me there. Olivia, I'm so sorry. Don't be. I'm still coming. To the wedding. To my property. I have every right to be on site during an event. I want to be there. Not as a guest. As the owner. Are you sure that's a good idea? Probably not. But I'm doing it anyway. What do you need from me? I need to know every detail of their event. Timeline. Seating chart. Vendor list. Everything. And I need to be on site but invisible until the right moment. Which moment? I'll know it when I see it. Over the next 3 months I watched the wedding plans develop. My father and Vanessa were demanding clients. They changed the menu 4 times. Wanted specific flowers flown in from Portland. Required the staff to attend additional service training. Vanessa called Patricia weekly with new requests. The tablecloths need to be ivory, not white. The champagne needs to be French, not California. The string quartet needs to play during cocktail hour, not recorded music. Patricia handled it all professionally. Charged appropriately for the changes and additions. By June, the wedding package had increased to $218,000. My father was spending over $200,000 on a wedding I wasn't invited to. At a property I owned. July 20, 2024 arrived clear and warm. Perfect mountain weather. I drove to the resort at noon. The ceremony was at 4 p.m. Reception at 6 p.m. I parked in my private owner's spot behind the main lodge. Entered through the back entrance. Went to my office. A small room on the 3rd floor that overlooked the entire property. From my window I could see everything. Guests began arriving at 2:30 p.m. Expensive cars. Designer clothes. Vanessa's family was old money from Connecticut. My father had clearly upgraded his social circle. I watched him greet guests. He looked happy. Relaxed. Dressed in a custom tuxedo that probably cost $4,000. Vanessa appeared at 3:45 p.m. Stunning dress. Vera Wang probably. She looked elegant. Sophisticated. Exactly the kind of woman my father wanted for his fresh start. The ceremony was beautiful. I watched from my office window. String quartet. Alpine meadow. Sunset light. My father cried when Vanessa walked down the aisle. I felt nothing. Just observed. They said their vows. Guests applauded. Then everyone moved to the grand hall for cocktail hour. I stayed in my office. Watching. Patricia texted me. Cocktail hour going smoothly. Dinner service starts at 6:30. Do you want me to do anything? I texted back. Not yet. I'll come down during dinner. At 6:45 p.m. I changed clothes. I'd been wearing jeans and a sweater. I changed into a black cocktail dress. Heels. Pearl earrings my mother had given me. I looked like I belonged at a sophisticated wedding. I took the staff elevator down to the main floor. walked through the service corridor to the grand hall. Patricia was stationed near the entrance, coordinating service. "You look beautiful," she whispered. "Thank you. How's it going?" "Perfectly. Salad course just went out. Main course in 15 minutes. Good. I'm going to walk around. Observe. Your father hasn't seen me yet. I'm staying away from the head table." I entered the grand hall through a side door. The room was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers, ivory tablecloths, centerpieces of white roses and orchids. A 12-piece band was playing jazz. 120 guests. Doctors, lawyers, real estate executives. Vanessa's family occupied 8 tables on the left. My father's new friends and colleagues on the right. I walked along the perimeter. Invisible. Just another well-dressed woman in a room full of them. I grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing server. Sipped it slowly. At the head table my father was laughing. Vanessa was glowing. They looked happy. I felt a strange detachment. This was my father. But also a stranger. A man who'd erased me from his life so completely that he could get married without me and feel nothing. The best man stood to give a toast. "Richard is one of the finest men I know. A great friend. A talented professional. And now, a devoted husband to the beautiful Vanessa." Applause. I've known Richard for 5 years. And I've watched him transform from a man haunted by loss into a man excited about the future. "Vanessa, you've given him a second chance at happiness. We're all grateful for that." More applause. No mention of my mother. No mention of me. His past was erased. His narrative rewritten. I finished my champagne. Set the glass down. It was time. I walked toward the head table. Slowly. Deliberately. Patricia saw me. Her eyes widened. She moved to intercept me, but I shook my head slightly. This was happening. I reached the head table. Stood about 10 feet away. My father was talking to Vanessa. Laughing about something. Patricia appeared at his elbow. "Professional. Come. Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry to interrupt. But there's a matter that requires your immediate attention." Dad looked up. Slightly annoyed. "Can it wait? We're in the middle of dinner." "I'm afraid not, sir. The property owner is here and needs to speak with you about the event." Dad's expression shifted. Concern. "The owner? Why? Is something wrong?" "Nothing is wrong. But she'd like to speak with you." "She." Patricia turned and pointed at me. I stepped forward. My father's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Confusion. Recognition. Disbelief. "Olivia." Vanessa looked at me. Then at Dad. "Who is that?" That's my daughter." "Your daughter? I thought she wasn't coming. You said she was too busy with work." "I was busy," I said calmly. "Busy running this resort." The table went silent. Dad stood. "What are you talking about?" "Mountain Peak Resort. I own it. Have since 2021. Summit Hospitality Holdings. That's my LLC." Vanessa's mouth opened. "You own this resort?" "Yes. But you're so young." "I'm 29. Old enough to build a business." My father was staring at me like I was a ghost. "This is impossible. How could you afford?" "The startup I worked at got acquired in 2020. I made $5.58 million. Used it to buy this property. Along with several other investments." "You never said. You never asked. In 6 years you've called me maybe 20 times. Asked surface-level questions. Never once asked about my actual life. My career. My success." Vanessa was looking between us. "Richard, you said your daughter was a data analyst." "I was. Before the acquisition. Now I'm a property owner. Among other things." The best man, still holding his microphone, looked confused. "Should I keep going with the speeches?" "No," I said. "Give me a moment." I looked at my father. "You uninvited me from this wedding. Said my presence would ruin the atmosphere. That I was too young, too awkward, too much a reminder of the past. Olivia, I can explain. You're at my resort. Spending $218,000 on an event at a property I own. And you didn't invite me." Vanessa stood. "Richard, what is she talking about?" "You uninvited your daughter. I sent her a letter. Explained that the wedding wasn't the right environment. You paid me $5,000 to stay away. Like I was a problem to be solved. Guests were starting to notice the commotion. Conversations were stopping. Heads were turning. Olivia, this isn't the time or place. This is exactly the time and place. Because this is my property. And you're here because I allowed it. Patricia stepped forward. Miss Chen, would you like me to handle this? No. I'll handle it. I looked at my father. You've spent 6 years pretending I don't exist. Building a new life. Starting fresh. And somehow you ended up at the one property in Washington state that I own. Spending over $200,000 without ever wondering who owned it. I didn't know. Because you didn't ask. About this. About me. About anything. Vanessa was crying now. Richard, you told me you had a good relationship with your daughter. That you just didn't see her often because of work. It's complicated. It's not complicated, I said. He left after Mom died. Gave me $40,000 and disappeared. We've barely spoken since. But he told you everything was fine because it was easier than telling the truth. The room was silent now. 120 guests watching this family drama unfold. Olivia, please, Dad said quietly. Can we talk about this privately? Why? You didn't privately uninvite me. You sent a letter. Said I'd ruin your wedding. So here I am. At my own resort. Watching you celebrate a marriage I wasn't allowed to attend. I made a mistake. You made many mistakes. This is just the most recent one. I turned to Patricia. Is the final payment for the wedding processed? Yes. Cleared 3 weeks ago. $218,000. Good. I looked at my father. Enjoy your reception. The food is excellent. The band is talented. You've planned a beautiful event. At my resort. Which you'll never book again. I turned to leave. Olivia, wait. I stopped. Back. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. For leaving. For not being there. For uninviting you. For all of it. Okay. That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Dad? That it's fine? It's not fine. You erased me from your life because I reminded you of Mom. Because grief was too hard. So you ran. And you built this new life where I don't exist. Congratulations. You succeeded. Vanessa was sobbing. Richard, how could you? He looked at her. Then at me. Then at the guests who were all staring. I don't know, he said quietly. I don't know how I let it get this bad. Figure it out, I said. But don't do it here. This is a business transaction. You paid for an event. You're receiving an event. We're professionals. Your wedding will continue as planned. I walked away. Through the grand hall. Past the staring guest. Out the side door. Patricia followed me into the corridor. Are you okay? I'm fine. That was intense. It was necessary. What happens now? Now they finish their wedding. Tomorrow they check out. And we move on. And your father? That's up to him. I stayed in my office for the rest of the reception. Watched from my window as the party continued. The band kept playing. Dessert was served. The couple did their first dance. But the energy had shifted. Conversations were hushed. Guests kept glancing at the head table where my father and Vanessa sat in tense silence. By 10 p.m., guests started leaving. Earlier than planned. By 11 p.m. the grand hall was empty. Patricia texted me. They've gone to their suite. Do you want a debrief? I texted back. Tomorrow. I'm going home. I drove back to Seattle. To my penthouse in Belltown worth $1.8 million that my father also didn't know I owned. At 7:30 the next morning my phone started ringing. I didn't answer. He called again at 8 o'clock. Then 8:30. Then 9 o'clock. By noon I had 47 missed calls. I texted him, I'm not ready to talk. Give me space. He texted back, please. I need to explain. I made terrible mistakes. I know that now. Please let me try to fix this. I didn't respond. Vanessa texted me from a number I didn't have saved. Olivia, this is Vanessa. I'm so sorry for what happened. I had no idea. Richard lied to me about your relationship. I'm devastated. If you're willing to talk, I'd like to hear your side. You deserve better than how you've been treated. I appreciated that. I texted back, thank you. I hope you and my father can work through this. But I need time before I engage with either of you. She replied, I understand. Take all the time you need. Patricia called me. The reviews from the Chen Whitmore wedding are interesting. How so? Several guests left 5-star reviews praising the venue. But they all mention unexpected drama and family tension. One review says, beautiful property, professional staff, but the owner's confrontation with her father during the reception was uncomfortable to witness. That's fair. We've also received 3 booking requests from people who were at the wedding. They all specifically asked if you'd be on site for their events. Why? One of them said, if the owner cares enough to show up when she's been wronged, she clearly cares about her property. That's the kind of place we want to book. I laughed. Couldn't help it. So the drama is good for business? Apparently. We're up 7 bookings this month. Unintended consequences. Indeed. My father kept calling. I kept ignoring. Finally, 3 weeks after the wedding, I answered. Olivia. Thank you for picking up. What do you want, Dad? I want to talk. In person. Please. Why? Because I owe you an explanation. An apology. More than that. I owe you years of conversations we should have had. You can't fix 6 years in one conversation. I know. But I need to try. Please. I was silent. I'll come to Seattle, he said. Wherever you want to meet. Your terms. Fine. There's a coffee shop in Ballard. Broadcast Coffee. Saturday at 10 a.m. I'll be there. He arrived early. I arrived exactly at 10 a.m. He looked older. Tired. The glow from the wedding was gone. We sat outside. Ordered coffee. Thank you for meeting me, he started. You have an hour. Talk. He took a breath. When your mother died, I broke. Completely. I couldn't function. Couldn't look at anything that reminded me of her. Including you. I know that part. So I ran. Moved to Denver. Started over. Built a life where I didn't have to confront the pain. You built a life where I didn't exist. Yes. And that was unforgivable. You'd lost your mother. And I abandoned you when you needed me most. Yes, you did. I told myself you were fine. You were capable. Independent. That you didn't need me. I did need you. Not financially. Not practically. Emotionally. I needed my father. He was crying now. I know. And I wasn't there. No, you weren't. Vanessa left me. I looked up. What? After the wedding. After she learned the truth about you. About how I'd treated you. She said she couldn't marry a man who'd abandoned his daughter. Who'd lied to her about having a good relationship with you. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was right. I don't deserve her. I don't deserve you either. But I'm here asking for a chance. Not to fix everything. Just to start trying. What does that look like? I don't know. Maybe we talk once a week. Maybe we have dinners. Maybe I learn about your actual life. Your business. Your success. All the things I should have been asking about for years. That's a lot to ask. I know. I drank my coffee. Thought about it. Here's what I'm willing to do, I said. We can talk. Once a month to start. You can ask about my life. I'll answer honestly. But I'm not going to pretend the last 6 years didn't happen. I'm not going to make you feel better about your choices. I understand. And you need therapy. Real therapy. To deal with your grief over Mom. Because you can't build a relationship with me while you're still running from her memory. I started last week. After Vanessa left. I found a grief counselor. Good. That's a start. Can I ask about your business? The resort. What do you want to know? How did you do it? Build something that's successful so young. For the first time in 6 years, I told him. About the startup acquisition. About investing wisely. About buying the resort. About growing it into a profitable business. He listened. She listened. I'm proud of you, he said when I finished. I should have said that years ago. I should have been there to watch you build all of this. Yes, you should have. Can I come visit the resort sometime? See what you've built. Maybe. Eventually. But not yet. Hey. I'll wait. We finished our coffee. One more thing, I said. The $5,000 check you sent. Trying to pay me to stay away from your wedding. I'm so sorry about that. I donated it to a grief support organization for young adults who've lost parents. In Mom's name. He nodded slowly. That's perfect. She would have liked that. I know. It's January 2025. 6 months since the wedding. Dad and I talk once a month. Phone calls. Awkward at first. Getting easier. He's still in therapy. Working through his grief. Learning to talk about Mom without falling apart. Vanessa called me once. Asked if we could meet for coffee. She wanted to apologize in person for not seeing through Dad's lies earlier. We met. She was genuine. Kind. We talked for 2 hours. For what it's worth, she said, I think what you built is incredible. The resort. Your business. Your independence. You did all of that without anyone's help. Thank you. Your father is working on himself. I don't know if we'll get back together. But I wanted you to know that what happened at the wedding, you standing up for yourself, that was brave. It didn't feel brave. It felt necessary. Sometimes that's the same thing. Mountain Peak Resort is thriving. We're booked solid through next summer. Revenue is projected to hit $5.2 million this year. I bought another property. A small boutique hotel in Portland. I'm building a portfolio. Last week, Dad asked if he could visit the resort. I'd like to see what you've built. If you're comfortable with that. Hey, but just you. And just for a day. That's fair. He came yesterday. Drove up from Denver where he still lives. I gave him a tour. Showed him the rooms we'd renovated. The restaurant. The spa. The conference center where he'd gotten married 6 months ago. We stood in the grand hall. Quiet. This is where I told Vanessa I loved her during our first dance, he said. I know. I watched from my office. You were there the whole time? Yes. In my office upstairs. Watching everything. That must have been painful. It was clarifying. I got to see exactly who you'd become. And who I'd become in spite of you. He nodded. You're stronger than I ever was. I had to be. I didn't have a choice. We walked outside. Into the alpine meadow where he'd gotten married. Mom would have been proud of you, he said. I know. I think about that every day. I'm trying to be proud of you too. Trying to actually show up for you. I know it's late. But I'm trying. I know. Will you ever forgive me? I thought about it. About 6 years of absence. About being uninvited from a wedding at my own property. About building success in silence because there was no one to share it with. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday. But forgiveness isn't something you earn with a few conversations and some therapy sessions. Something that happens over time. If it happens at all. That's fair. But I'm willing to keep trying. Keep talking. See where this goes. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. We drove back down the mountain separately. Him to Denver. Me to Seattle. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. 3 new booking requests came in today. All referrals from the Chen Whitmore wedding guests. This venue is becoming legendary. I smiled. My father's wedding, the one I wasn't invited to, had become the best marketing my resort ever had. The story spread. The young owner who confronted her father at his wedding. Who revealed herself at the exact moment he thought she didn't exist. People loved it. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. I'd built something valuable. Something that mattered. And when my father tried to erase me from his celebration, I showed up anyway. At my own property. On my own terms. The calls started the next morning. Just like I knew they would. But I didn't need them anymore. Didn't need his apology or his pride or his recognition. I'd already won. I won the moment I bought the resort. The moment I built a business he knew nothing about. The moment I stood in that grand hall and said, this is mine. His wedding was just the epilogue. The story was already written. And I wrote every word of it myself.